Really don't have any injuries to mention. Everybody's going to practice today. Jacksonville is a good football team. We look forward to the challenge of playing them. Liam has stepped in there and done a nice job with that group, along with his coordinators and coaches, and they've got tremendous talent, and it shows. So on both sides of the ball and on special teams, and they're leading the league in turnovers or number one defense. I mean, you can start naming a ton of things on both sides of the ball that they're really good at. So look forward to that challenge. Time's yours.
Yeah, with turnovers, Andy, what stands out in that aspect about what they do defensively?
Yeah, they catch the ball well, first of all, and they work they're disciplined in their lanes on their zone drops, opportunistic on tip balls. And then they've stripped out a couple balls, so they go after it. You got to make sure that you're aware of that as you play them, for sure.
Andy, at the same time, you have only one turnover this season. What have you done as a team to kind of guard against that?
Right. Emphasize it, I guess. But the guys, it really comes down to the guys doing it, and the guys have done a nice job keeping it high and tight when needed, and not having tip balls, all the things that kind of lead to those. And then, this is a potential weather game, so you add that into it too. You got to make sure that you really take care of the football.
Andy, you mentioned how the offensive line, or both sides of the lines, played very well, but especially the offensive lines. From up off the Trey, just as a quarter way through the season, how do you feel like they've just ascended, in your opinion, after this one?
Yeah, we're getting better there as we go, as they play together more. Trey's a beast. We know that. He gets in there and he'll battle with anybody. Tough guy. And like I said, the other day, was that it doesn't all have to be pretty. You want to get the job done, and they're kind of doing that right now. So it's we've got some young guys that are getting better.
You're trusting Richard maybe earlier than other rookies in previous years. I guess what has he shown you that he's able to handle that load? Well,
literally, being able to handle it's half the battle. Just from a mental standpoint, he's picked it up well. He's in a good room where guys can help him and have done some of these things that we're asking him to do in the past. So he's willing to listen. Pretty humble kid, and works hard.
There was obviously a little, not altercation, but a back and forth between Coach Cohen and Robert Salah after the game. I know that's not anything anybody wants, but, what is the accusation you like, but talk about stealing signs and that kind of thing. What's the right way? I mean, you're kind of the old guard of the coaching fraternity. What's the right way to handle that?
Yeah, listen, it's been going on that goes on. So if you're going to put a sign out there, I just gave you one, you didn't see it. But but if you're going to put it out there, guys are going to look at it and try to sneak it from you. So the headsets have kind of taken away a little bit of that, but that's what it is. It's all part of it, and got to move on. So, yeah.
Did you ever have any kind of conversation like that after a game?
No, but listen, those guys know each other. That's the thing. People, they're buddies and competitive, and we're at the same place last year, and so it gets brotherly, So they start arguing. That's all right. They're all right,
Coach, the last time you played a regular season game in Jacksonville with Jawan had to lash of penalties and came out of the game. This is obviously an emotional game for him, and he goes off the quarterback's cave. So on a Monday night, it's going to be a big crowd. Is there a special focus for him this week for this game?
Yeah, well, it's home, and he did play there at the same time. So I'm sure it will be emotional for him that way. And then he knows the other part of that. He knows he's got to focus in on not being too quick off the ball, and but at the same time being quick. It's you got to be on time, spot on, and so he's worked hard at that.
Coach, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but this is a new coaching staff, first time head coach, a bunch of brand new coaches coming into a situation. Just how impressive is it that they seem to kind of have a character already this early into a tenure of a guy?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's great for the league, and it's legit. So this is something they're playing good football, and they're coaching well. You can see the guys are listening to them and doing what they want, and that goes off to them. But I think overall it's good. It's good for the league to have that kind of competition, for sure.
Andy, with your wide receivers, you get Xavier back, obviously it means less playing time for someone this last week with Taekwon. I just wonder, like, is this going to be like a week-to-week thing, sort of analyze maybe best guys to use if you want guys to get in a certain role or rhythm?
Yeah, there's one ball, so the guys know that, and as long as you stay humble with it, and you don't get that hungry thing where you start wanting and then don't play. But the guys have done a great job. They're all good buddies, and they're kind of pulling for each other. But you want to maintain that. That's a tough thing. Though. When you have a number of guys, what's real is there's one football.
Coach, you probably addressed this Monday, and I apologize. How did the offense? Was the offense as good as it looked to us just watching the game?
Yeah, listen, there were some good things. There's some things we've got to work on. Can we be better? Absolutely. On the offensive side, Matt has done a good job of finding things along with Joe Blameyer. These guys are finding things that work for the guys that are playing, and kind of the offensive line did their thing. They got another huge challenge this week. This defensive line is a good one. So it's every week is its own deal. But this past week there were some good things that took place. We just got to keep building on that.
Soren?
Coach, I know we've had Deion Sanders play both ways, a little bit, but no one's really kind of leaned all the way into it the way the Jaguars are with Travis Hunter. I'm just curious of, what do you think, how difficult that is to try to be up to speed on both sides of the ball, and is there anyone you were ever tempted to try that with?
Yeah, you get a good player, you'd love to be able to do that. I think Troy Brown did it for a little bit, where receiver, DB, and nickel position. So it takes a special guy to jump in there and be able to do that. My hat goes off to the kid. That's not. It's hard being a rookie, and really hard doing both sides, knowing both sides of the ball. So.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right.
Far away.
Patrick, facing a defense with 13 turnovers, most in the league, and you guys been able to control the ball as well. But when you look at film of Jacksonville, their defense, what stands out and impresses you the most about how they've been able to get those turnovers?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, they're very fundamentally sound. And when you have a fundamentally sound defense that's that talented, with the amount of players that they have at every single level of the defense, that's a hard defense to go against, and they do a great job attacking the football. They're causing the turnovers. It's not like the turnovers are just happening. They're punching the football out, they're tipping passes, they're intercepting the football when they get their hands on it. And so it'll be a great challenge for us. We have to make sure that we're really fundamentally sound as well, and we can't give them any opportunity because they're capitalizing on them.
Isolating Hines Allen, I guess, what type of challenge does he in particular?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like the perfect build for a defensive end. I mean, just fast, he's tall, he just has a great variety of pass rush moves, and then he can drop in coverage if necessary as well. And so he's done a great job in this league for a couple of years now, and so I think he's kind of in that perfect moment where he's kind of a veteran and kind of knows the veteran stuff, but still has the athletic ability to make stuff happen as well. And so a great football player that we'll have to account for on every play.
Patrick, when you went back and watched this game, was it kind of how you'd seen it immediately afterwards, or what stood out to you?
Yeah, I think the execution, was the biggest thing. I mean, obviously the guys made plays and we were able to score a lot of points, but I'm always big on the execution and executing on the plays that are called and everybody being on the same page. And I think that was something that we did at a very high level this last game, and something that hopefully we can continue to do as the season goes on.
There were a couple plays where it seemed like there was enough time to where maybe you could have looked to run, but you still stayed in there for an extra long time. Was that something that stood out to you?
Yeah, I think it just continues to build trust with the offensive line, and they're doing a great job of pass protecting. And so for me, just being able to trust it, sit in that pocket, maybe that extra tenth of a second, and give guys chances down the field, something I continue to even get better at now. But I think I did a better job of that this last week for sure.
Hey, Patrick, tight window throws, you've been trying to give guys chances. You said, going back to the one for Juju last week, what goes into a play like that to make where it's a real thing?
Yeah, I think it was we schemed it up very well, where we knew kind of the coverages that the defense was playing down there, and we knew that it was going to be a tight window. But the way they played their coverage, there was a spot on the thing, and Juju ran the route perfectly, and so I was ready to throw on time. And we had an option to go after that, obviously, but the window was big enough for me to throw the ball, and then a physical catch by Juju there in the end zone and making the play happen.
And real quick, you guys have had more tight window throws, more deep throws, but not as many turnovers. I guess what do you attribute?
Yeah, that speaks to the guys that are making the plays. I'm giving guys chances down the field, and they're making plays happen. It's either them or nobody else, and so that's something that we preached all off season, and it's good to see that success happening, and let's continue it as the season goes on.
Andy was asked about the Lee Cohen, Robert Saleh sign stealing thing. He kind of laughed it off, I guess. Do you have to be any more cognizant of something like that this week?
I honestly don't really understand. I mean, we switch signals like every single week, so I guess maybe, and I have no idea, honestly. So it's something that I don't necessarily understand, but we'll make sure to switch our signals, I guess.
Time you spend on that every week to learn new things. Is that a big part of the week?
I mean, for us, we just we scout the defense, and we try to learn what we can from them, and as far as our coverages and stuff like that. And then for us, we like I said, we switch signals every single week, knowing that the game is on TV and teams watch that, and so we try to make sure that we're interchanging that stuff so they can't get a beat on what we're trying to do.
I know you love watching film, and in particular, just guys across the league. Did you this week spend a little more extra time just watching what Travis Hunter has at least attempted to do these first 4 weeks playing offense and defense?
I haven't watched a ton. I mean, obviously I've watched his defensive snaps now, but I know he was a super talented player in college, and it was fun to watch him at Colorado make plays happen. And coming out in the draft process, I always watch those receivers, and so he's special when he gets the football in his hand and being able to make guys break tackles and make guys miss. And then seeing him play defense now, I mean, he's done a great job of obviously with his defense, he's done a great job in this scheme of playing man and zone and being around the football as well. And so a special football player, and someone that we'll have to account for when he's out there on the field.
When you guys went back and looked at Rashard Smith getting a little more each week, what did you think this week with the role he had and how he did?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. It's just like any other rookie in this offense. You kind of give him more and more each and every week, and he's done a good job of taking it in and going out there and executing at a high level. And so we'll continue to do that. It helps that he played receiver a lot, so he can run routes, and he also played running back, so he can run between the tackles. And those are special football players to have because it keeps the defenses guessing, and that's what you want to do. You want them on their heels, and then be able to attack them in a variety of different ways.
Patrick, the way you guys were for almost 8 drives there, putting yourself in a position to score, how do you guys kind of keep that edge about you and carry it into this week?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot to learn from. I mean, early in the first half there were some of those drives that stalled out, kind of like we had been doing earlier in the season. So trying to find ways to execute, especially earlier in football games, to build leads. I mean, like I've always said, when you build a lead with Spags calling the defense, it really unleashes him to really go out there. And so we'll continue to work at the little things fundamentally and try to all be on the same page so that we can execute it at a higher level early and then keep that momentum through the rest of the game.
Sorry?
Patrick, I know you're focused on what you and everything, but I'm just curious. The fans are keeping an eye on the Chargers as that game's happening and everything. And I know it's early in the season, but do you, if you're looking at your phone, listening to your music, you see the updates, are you aware of what's going on in the division and around the league before you play, when you play those later windows?
Yeah, but like you said, it's early in the season, so we know we still have a lot coming our way. But I mean, I'm obviously rooting against them. So like if I see like the Giants are winning, I'm happier than if they weren't winning. So it's I'm not necessarily like keeping up to date like all the time, but if it's on the TV or if I'm at Arrowhead and they show a highlight, I'll definitely look and see who's winning the game.
Patrick, it looked like you were watching the game the other night with Tyreek from the Prayers Up tweet. But, have you talked to Tyreek, and what were your thoughts when you saw that?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him a little bit, but I think more than anything, just sending prayers his way because, I mean, you never want to see that happen in football, and it's part of the game, but it's a terrible part of the game, and I know how he works, and so I'm excited to watch his comeback now. I know he'll get to work and be back at it, but obviously praying for him and his family because, I mean, you never want to see that on the football field.
Herbie?
Patrick, I know you don't really pay too much attention to your individual accomplishments, but 252 regular season touchdowns, now the youngest player. What does it mean to pass a guy like Aaron Rodgers? And you guys are kind of like friends. Have you heard from him?
No, I've not heard from him. I mean, I think he's like he was just in Dublin or something like that. So I don't know if he wants to reach out from there. But no, I mean, to pass him, and as far as right now, I mean, it's really cool. But I got a long ways to go, and the amount of touchdowns he's thrown, and that was someone I watched growing up. And so I'll continue to just get better and better, and try to score as many points as possible, and more than anything, win as many football games as possible. And I think at the end of my career, I'll be happy with where I'm at.
Steve?
Patrick, Xavier brought it seemed to bring that spark to the offense this past week. You obviously know what you can do. Did you exceed your expectations at all from coming off of that injury?
I mean, obviously, just you never know coming off injury, but that's what I expected from the beginning of the season. I think the best way to put it is he's a guy that can win one-on-one against really everybody in the league, and so when you have that much explosiveness and you can run routes like he does, it brings a lot of attention to him. And so you saw that they were having to make decisions if they were going to play man coverage or if they were going to play zone coverage, and then it helped get other guys open as well. And so as well as just bringing energy. I mean, he has a lot of energy on the football field. He's got celebration, it seems like, every single week, and so I think that's contagious, and it brought energy to the entire sideline and the entire team, and it was a great thing to get him out there.
Last one, Sam.
You didn't go against Noah Williams a ton, probably, on the time with the lungs, but did his physicality stand out to you in the reps you did get against him?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, I usually have a pretty good feel for especially the DBs and stuff like that. And I mean, I was talking to Coach Merritt and Coach Spags early about just the way he played. I mean, obviously the physicality, but he's in the right spot all the time, and he's in the right coverage. He has a good instinct for being around the football, and I think that's something that it's hard to learn. You kind of either have that or you don't. And so he's done a great job. I haven't been able to watch a ton of their film, but just from watching the coverages that I've seen, he's done a great job this year, and I think he'll continue to get better.
Thanks, Patrick.
Appreciate you.
Trey, it seemed like as a group, as offensive line, you guys had your best outing this last week. Just wondered if you felt that way, just how you were great this last week compared to the first couple.
Yeah, definitely just taking strides, as a unit and just, taking it game by game, day by day. And there are things we all need to work on, but really enjoy seeing the young guys get after it and, everybody in the group having success in that way. But like I said, there's still a lot of things that we all need to work on.
When Kingsley was struggling last year, you were a defender of your guy. I guess how great is it to see the strides that he's made and what he's doing in the season?
Yeah, it's awesome to see Kings go out there and doing his thing and having success. And he's a great guy, and he's a great teammate, a great friend of brothers. So it's always good seeing someone that you care about, going out there balling, doing well, and finding success on the field. And you know what type of player he is, how talented he is, and he has a high ceiling and potential for what he can be.
Now that you're a little older, got the contract and so on, how is the mentorship role? How much do you enjoy that part of it?
Yeah, it's cool. Great responsibility, man. Just trying to help bring everybody alongside with Reid as well, and Juwan as well, being the older guys in the room to help guide the younger guys and uphold a standard. Like I said, sort of top to bottom leadership with Coach Heck and Corey Matei, sort of dictating, and we just sort of make sure we uphold the standard.
What's the biggest challenge of just communication on the line, and is that the sort of thing you've already seen blossom a little more with a couple, 4 games under the belts on the left side?
Yeah, I think just continuity with the offensive line, if you look at the position as a whole, is important. Understanding the tendencies of the guys you play next to, how he's going to take a certain block, how you set something up, how he's going to respond. It is extremely important just to build that communication, that comfortability, and that comfort level beside the guy you're playing with.
And more specifically, just with Juwan, how does that communication work in terms of just spacing? And is that something you guys have to be conscious of all the time?
Yeah, just different looks that the defense presents, playing with anticipation for it. And then just practice, like the more reps you get, the more comfortable you get, the more it's almost second nature. And being able to play with somebody for a couple of years, you understand their tendencies and their habits, and you have a certain level of communication that you have going into it. And, it all helps. And like I said, there's so much importance in terms of continuity and offensive line, playing beside people.
Trey, with goal line and red zone, it's kind of your guys' chance to shine and impose your will. What do you guys kind of feel like you're at in that front?
Yeah, in critical situations, just, we can always execute and be better. And at the end of the day, I feel like for us, if we just execute what our coaches have for us, we'll be good. And, I feel like there's always so much more for us to work on as a total unit.
And with the Jaguars, the way they run the simulated pressure, they're down, and then obviously the stunts. What are the challenges there for you?
Yeah, the Jaguars are extremely talented defensive front. A lot of veterans in that unit as well. They do a really good job. They're a good football team first and foremost, but especially up front, their defensive line is sort of the heartbeat of their defense, and they do a phenomenal job. And, it's NFL. Everybody's going to be good week in and week out. It's going to be a challenge up front. But, we're going to prepare. We're going to attack. And like I said, I can't give enough credit to those guys because of how well they played the game this year.
You mentioned kind of the young guys, and as you look back, when did you feel like you were the player you are today? Was there a time it took 3 games, 6 games, a year and a half? When did you feel like you'd kind of matured as a player in that process? At least for you. I know everyone's probably different, but
yeah,
at least for you, when you felt like, okay, I got this.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster. First year, to be honest with you. I feel like in playoff time, that's when I started really super settling in. Like, I know what I am, I know what I'm doing, sort of my role in the team and the sense of urgency, getting enough looks over that year span where it's like, man, I've seen every front, every type of player. And then obviously going to year 2, you have that level of, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I need to be. And I feel like it's a constant building process. We're all trying to learn, we're all trying to be better, and it just takes a lot of time. And for our young guys, are doing a great job of attacking it. Like I said, we have great coaches with Coach Heck, Coach Matei. They do a good job making sure the guys are ready and prepared. And mentally, man, I can't give them enough credit for how they attack every game. You know what I mean? They handle it well. They handle it like professionals.
You're known as a very aggressive player, right? Finishing blocks. I remember that was one of the big calling cards when you were drafted. But, driving guys off the ball. When you have an RPO and, there's a limit to how far you can go downfield, how difficult is that for you, always having been, aggressive, finish, drive guys, and then you got this limit where you got to stop? Does that take something away? How much does that make it difficult to be effective in the run when you know there's a limit?
No, I don't really think it changes our mentality. Sort of what we preach, like, at the end of the day, it could be a pass. We run a lot of RPOs as well. But for us, it's just getting after the guy up front, and we have systems built in our offense where we aren't, down the field and doing things of that nature. But like I said, our coaches do a phenomenal job of teaching us that. There's a level of controlled aggression. I would say that's something that I had to learn and still learning at times. But I wouldn't say it really affected my play that much as a whole for the most part. You know what I mean?
Do you like the ones that aren't RPOs better, where you just know you can just drive a guy as far as you can?
I have no preference as long as we keep pushing that ball down the field. No preference.
Last three, go ahead, Tom.
We talked about Kingsley a little bit, but Simmons has had a couple of eye-popping moments for us, running down someone on an interception and things like that. I've seen way out in front on some sweep-type actions. Have there been any film room moments where you're like, wow, that's kind of different for a left tackle?
Yeah, he's had a lot. He's had a lot. I really like Josh, man. What he's done, the talent level that he has. For me, I think the sky's the limit for him, and it's really fun just being able to watch him and try to help him out in any facet of his game. And just be a resource for him, because that's how much I believe in him. And obviously with Kingsley as well, how talented he is. But it's fun. It's fun watching 71 get out there, man, and doing this thing. And there's a reason, he got drafted where he got drafted, and I think the sky's the limit for him.
Trey, now that you won a couple games, I know you got a long season to go, but now that you've won a couple games, is there something you can look back to for how you guys handled being 0-2 that allowed you guys to rebound the way you have the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's the NFL. It's a tough job. It's not easy. Everyone in this league is good, or they wouldn't be in this league. And you take it one game at a time. You take it one day at a time. You take it one play at a time. And you don't blink. You don't look too far ahead. You just stay focused in the present moment, and you just try to win each day, each rep as much as you can, and you just keep pushing it forward from there.
Last one.
Trey, the 2021 draft class, there's a lot of prominent players in this game coming up. Trevor, Travis Etienne. Can you specifically talk about your draft class here with the Chiefs and how you've grown with guys like Nick Bolton and Creed and those guys?
Yeah, it's cool to see those same guys and familiar faces. Quite a few of us still here. And, just having a good friendship and a good rapport with all your guys and seeing them succeed and knowing we all came in together at the time and still having a established level of success here. It's definitely a really cool feeling. I got drafted here. I was blessed, fortunate to be here and to still go to work with like Creed, seeing him playing beside him, that's awesome. We were in draft training together, having a guy like Nick Bolton, I used to knock heads with him in Missouri, and having a guy like Noah Gray, who's a great tight end for our team, who does a lot of stuff and at times is underappreciated, but is a hell of a player. And not even including like Malik Herring and other people. I hope I'm not missing anybody else, but it's cool being able to still have those guys around and even reminisce back in the couple old years, getting a little bit older.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Go for Leo.
Coaching the defensive backs this week.
Oh man, no, just trying to learn as much from them. I got a long ways to go.
It looked like your college interception was thrown right to you. I guess what made this one so special for you?
Yeah, I was saying that to the guys. Like, this is the first one that I actually, made a, like an athletic or like, DB type play. So it was pretty cool. And the thing was plastering on a down that, Lamar's going to extend plays. So it's plastering on a down and just being able to read his eyes, Andrew's eyes, and just get my head around and do my best to make a play.
You kind of know that the blitz is called, and that's probably going to happen that way, right? But how often you don't have to trail someone 25, 30 yards downfield very often in a season, right?
Right. It's unique to those certain guys, especially Lamar, and that's something we were coaching. They were coaching us up all week on. You got to plaster no matter what. And Lamar threw it off his back foot, running backwards basically, and he was still able to get it in the vicinity. So it's all of us I feel like we're detailed in on plastering.
That was one of the plays that really got some emotion going for the team. And I've heard several players talk before the game, after the game, or not before and after the game, about there was really good emotion all game long, all sides. And that maybe hasn't been the case all year. How do you do that? I mean, how do you keep emotion up? Is it plays like that? I mean, because you can't just fake it, right?
Oh, I mean, that definitely helps. And the challenge is being still vocal and full of energy even when things go south. Like I said, I think that's the biggest thing. Even when things aren't going well, just having those guys that are willing to step up and be like, nah, we got this. Still having that energy, because in my mind, that's bigger, because it's easy to let, get yourself affected. Energy vampires can bring you down, and luckily we don't have any of those guys. So it's definitely big in those moments.
Leo Trent told me that the defensive backs have an all-hands board, and you made the board and moved up on the board. When you hear, defensive backs talk about you like that, how does it make you feel?
Man, it's special because, a lot of times they'll say, hey, great job in the run game or doing this, knocking somebody back. So, you got guys like Trent and those dudes saying that about it's a huge compliment. I just got to keep it going and prove it's not just a fluke. So.
Did your agent call you and go, hey, nice job, we're going to sell you as a coverage guy now?
Oh, man. No, he did not. Yeah, right, no. Yeah. No, but just trying to be as versatile as I can, man. Just help the team out.
You mentioned that you looked at his eyes. Was that your cue on that play?
Yeah, and you just feel a guy, continue to run, and all of a sudden their eyes get big, and a lot of them try to do their hands last second, stuff like that. But for me, it was just like seeing the eyes and knowing, Lamar is gonna make a play out of nothing. So I was just trying to be ready.
Leo, with a running back like ETN, what do you have to be mindful of?
Sorry, Chris.
With a running back like ETN, what do you have to be mindful of?
What stuck out on me just watching film the past few days is, how well he is like on the edge, and his stiff arm's good, but it's not just setting an edge. You got to have great eyes. You got to continue to press the edge because he'll bounce it out even if you got a DN setting the edge 2 yards up the field. So I think it's just trusting each other and continue to drive upfield on certain things, and having good square hips, athletic position, and being ready to knock down a stiff arm.
Jack, you were at the one-tech spot as a stand-up guy, and you took on a double team. What was that experience like?
It's cool being able to learn, like I said, from different guys. You learn from Chris and you learn from Trent, and as much as I can be a Swiss Army knife as possible, like I'm going to be on the field more and help out the team more. That's where I want to be, and on that play specifically, I'd like to get the stop. I was driven back and kind of full head of steam running back and stuff, but I just want to be able to make those plays the best I can.
Overall, under new coaches with Jacksonville, how have you seen that operation change from previous times you've been with Jacksonville, and just how they look under new coaches?
Yeah, I mean, what really sticks out is their use of motion, pre-step motion, whether it's jet motion or just, aligning, like, moving guys across the formation. So it's really having good eyes, and, every single person's got to be on, the same page, because you get a jet guy and then somebody swapping back, everybody's got to be in their gap, the right gap, and then they'll throw in, a counter pass or, something like that. So it's just guys having good eyes, disciplining their technique, and trusting each other.
Leo, it seems that you guys, especially on defense, are pretty willing to share information and share lessons, and this is something I learned previously. Did that surprise you more than you maybe anticipated when you were a rookie? And then how much do you think that is now happening in turn with guys like Ashton, Noel, Bossa, of course, on the defensive side, through the first part of this season?
It's like teaching guys, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think we just got a great culture, you know, that Coach Reid and Coach Spags have established. You got guys taking other guys under their wing that, you know, could possibly take their job in the future. You know, it's a tough business like that, but you got guys that are just so humble. And, you know, when I came in, I had a great group of linebackers. I just look around, I'm like, dude, we're blessed to be able to have guys like this, because it's just making each other all better, because you don't just learn as a student, you learn as a teacher as well when you're teaching. So it's pretty cool to be part of it.
Who was that guy for you?
You know, there was a few. I mean, Nick is the obvious answer. You know, he's somebody that was thrown into the fire as a rookie, and he's somebody that knows the defense in and out and plays with energy. So, yeah, I think probably Nick.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Leo.
All right, thanks, guys.